بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Before I forget, next week class is after Isha because time's supposed to go back Sunday. So next week class will be at 6:45 after Isha, inshallah. This is the last section for the sujud al-sahw, which will be, I think, the third class on the sujud al-sahw. So the next section is bab salat al-tatawwu. So after tonight, the next section we're going to be doing is the voluntary prayers, the section on the voluntary prayers. We started this section last week, but the little part that we did, we're going to do it again because it was only 2 lines or 3 lines. But it'll be better if we do what we did last week so that it'll make more sense. And this is the section on tark, leaving something in the salat. So you accidentally forget to do something. It could be a rak'ah, it could be a ruku', it could be a sajda, you forget to say something. Remember, and this section covers if you have doubt in the salat. So the author, rahimahullah, he starts off and he says, وَمَنْ تَرَكَ رُكْنًا. Now, this page, if a person leaves, and again, in the beginning, man, this is page, I think, on a PDF. On mine is 280. 280? 280, what you got, Sheikh? 280. If you forget to do something, it's possible you can forget to do what? A pillar, or an obligation, or something sunnah that's recommended. It depends on what you forget to do. Everybody clear? Depends on what you forget. So he starts off in this, the first 2, if a person forgets a pillar. So he says, whoever forgets a pillar, or whoever misses a pillar, فَذَكَرَهُ بَعْدَ شُرُوعِهِ فِي كِرَاءَةٍ رَكْعَةٍ أُخْرَى بَطَلَتِ الَّتِي تَرَكَهُ مِنْهَا. I think we did this last week, right? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. All right, somebody forgets to do a pillar. Of course, not intentionally. Not intentionally. If they intentionally miss a pillar, it nullifies the salat anyway. So a person forgets to do a pillar. So for example, let's just say a person forgot to do ruku', the bowing. So they recited al-Fatiha, and then they skipped after al-Fatiha, and they read a surah, then they said Ameen, they recited a short surah, and then they said Allahu Akbar, and they went all the way down to sajda, right? That means they skipped ruku' and standing up from ruku'. So they really skipped 2 pillars, right? So he says whoever skips a pillar, and then they remember that they skipped it or they missed it after they stood up for the next rak'ah. Not they just stood up. They stood up for the next rak'ah and they started reciting al-Fatiha. Once they do that, it says that the first entire rak'ah is invalid, doesn't even count. Everybody clear? Now, it doesn't just have to be ruku', it could be a sajda. Maybe he went in the sajda or she went in the sajda. She did 1 sajda. She did everything right from the beginning of the salat. She got down to sajda. Instead of doing 2 sajdas, she did 1 sajda and stood back up for the second rak'ah. When she stood back up, she started reciting al-Fatiha. Once she starts reciting, that first entire rak'ah is gone, doesn't even exist. That means the rak'ah that she's standing up doing now is now her first rak'ah. Everybody clear? What's the distinction? She stood up and she started reciting. Oh, she started reciting. Tayyib. He says, وَقَبْلَهُ. All right, what if they realize, same situation, and when they stand up, they realize that they missed, whether it's a sajda, ruku', they realize they missed the sajda or ruku' before they started reciting. If they realize it before they started reciting, which means they stand up, and once they stand all the way up, they say, I missed the sajda, or I missed the ruku', right? In that case, ya'ud wujuban. They have to go back down to whatever they missed. Obligatory. So if a person, for example, they did the first rak'ah and they missed the second sajda at the end of the first rak'ah. So that means they went in the sajda, they did one sajda, then they stood back up for the second rak'ah. When they stood back up, they didn't start reciting. They say, that was only one sajda. What do? They go straight back down, right? And they have to do what?
They have to go in this sajda and then come up
They have to do the sitting up from the sajda
and then go back down.
and going down for the sajda, right? To fix it. And then they stand back up for the second rak'ah. They can do that as long as they didn't start reciting. If they started reciting already, that whole rak'ah is gone, the first one. Yes?
I may have asked this last week, but I don't remember. Now, when they come up out of the sujud, they stand up and they say Allahu Akbar. Is that considered reciting, or only if they start out reciting al-Fatiha?
Reciting al-Fatiha, the recitation of al-Fatiha. Once they start reciting al-Fatiha, that second pillar, or that first rak'ah is not, it doesn't even exist anymore. That whole thing is, as they say, is closed or invalid. What did you say? It's batil, yes. It's batil. He said the question was, when you stand up, what's considered reciting? He said, is reciting saying Allahu Akbar, or is reciting actually reciting? The reciting here is reciting al-Fatiha. Al-Fatiha is a pillar. The sajda that I missed is a pillar. The takbir from standing up is a la. It's only three. Condition, no, it definitely can't be. From the obligations, right? The only Allahu Akbar that's a pillar is the first one. The rest of them moving from position to position are from the obligations. So now I missed a pillar of sajda, right? I stand up and I do an obligation, Allahu Akbar. Then I start doing another pillar, which is reciting al-Fatiha. This one, yeah. Now, tayyib. So in that case, if a person realizes before they start reciting al-Fatiha, they have to go back down and they have to fix it. Meaning, I missed the second sajda, that means I missed the sitting up from the second sajda, the two sittings between the sajda. I sit up, I go back down to sajda, I come up, sit, go back down to sajda, my second sajda, then I stand up. That's how I fix that. And then I continue the entire salat after that. As long as I didn't what? As long as I never started reciting al-Fatiha.
Question, is it the same, well actually two questions, and it has to do with what Suleiman asked you too. All right, is that the same if you're by yourself or you're leading?
Is that the same whether you're praying alone
Or you're leading?
or if you're leading the salat?
And the reason why I asked that, right, is because when he said you stand up and you say Allahu Akbar, right? And Allahu Akbar was signal to the people in the back that you made another movement. You know what I mean? So do you go straight back down, or do you have to say Allahu Akbar and go back down? You get what I'm saying?
That's two different questions now. You said,
I'm saying it's
the first question is, does this apply when I'm praying alone or if I'm leading the salat?
either one.
It applies when I'm praying alone and it applies when I'm leading the salat.
Gotcha. So does the Allahu Akbar change?
That's a different question now.
Yeah, right.
All right,
It's the
cool.
second.
Okay.
I did say it was two.
Oh, my bad.
So now does Allahu Akbar change if you're leading?
What does that mean?
That means, all right, if I say, like, you got sisters on the other side, right? Okay, I made one such, I get up, I realize that I said Allahu Akbar, but now I gotta go back down. So don't I have to let everybody else know I'm going back down?
And like the people, the sisters that can't see you.
Or, no, I'm saying like the people behind me, so I just go back down?
Well, this is the thing. The people that's behind you don't need Allahu Akbar.
Right.
That's what the rows are for.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If I'm in the first row, I see the imam is going back down, I'm going back down.
All right, just for clarity or something.
You see what I'm saying? If I'm in the second row, I'm following. If I can't see the imam, that means I'm following all of the rows in front of me. What's going to happen with the sisters?
Oh, I
Stuck for the law. Allah musta'an. That's the benefit sometimes of having the screen and they can see on the screen and stuff like that. It's a benefit in that. It's a benefit in This wall not being here. You know what I'm saying? It's a benefit and stuff like that. Sometimes we be like, yeah, but sometimes it's a benefit. The Sahaba used to pray and they wouldn't turn around and the women would disperse first. They could see. That means you could see the women and the women could see the men. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Tayyib. Now I'm like the Eid. Tayyib. He says, this is the next situation. So the first situation, a person realized that they missed a pillar after they started reciting Al-Fatiha. The second situation, the person stood up and they realized they missed a pillar before they started reciting. The third situation, he says, وَإِنْ عَلِمَ بَعْدَ السَّلَامِ. A person realizes they missed a pillar after they salamed out of the whole salat. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. They sitting there thinking and they say, I only did one sajda in that, whatever it was, the third rak'ah. That means that third rak'ah, he says, فَتَرْكِ رَكَعَةٍ كَامِلَةٍ. It is as if he missed the whole rak'ah. So if a person missed the sajda in the first rak'ah of Isha, then they finished the whole Isha. Then after, at the end, they salamed out, right? And then they said, I think I did miss a sajda in the first rak'ah. How many rak'ahs did they pray? They really only prayed 3. That first one doesn't even count. Does that make sense? Just like the rule, I stood up now, and I didn't just recite Al-Fatiha one time. I recited Al-Fatiha on 3 more rak'ahs after the one that I already missed. So that first rak'ah didn't count. That means I would have to stand up, pray a whole rak'ah, a complete rak'ah to make it 4 for Isha, and then do my sujud al-sahw. Tayyib, that's for missing a pillar. When it comes to missing an obligation, the author rahimahullah says, وَإِنْ نَسِيَ التَّشَهُدُ الْأَوَّلِ وَالنَّهَضَ. A person misses the first tashahhud, and this is just an example. This applies for all of the obligations. This is an example, the first tashahhud. In the prayers when there's 2 tashahhuds, right? A person misses the first tashahhud. The first thing I have to know is what category does the first tashahhud fit in? Is it a pillar? Is it an obligation? Or is it recommended? That's the first thing. Obligation. I have to know that while I'm praying. You feel me? I got to be able to fix it while I'm praying. So he said if a person misses the first tashahhud, for example, they pray in Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, or Isha, all of them have 2 tashahhuds. After the first tashahhud, which is after the second rak'ah, instead of doing the tashahhud, they stand up for the third rak'ah. They stand straight up, which means they didn't do the tashahhud, the first tashahhud, which is an obligation. Tayyib, it's a couple different situations. It says, لَزِمَهُ الرُّجُوعُ مَا لَمْ يَنْتَصِبْ قَائِمًا. He said, as long as a person doesn't stand all the way up straight, they have to go back down and do the first tashahhud. As long as they don't do what? As long as they don't stand all the way up, stand straight up. This is on page 281. It says here, if he forgets to read the final, stands up and stands up for the first rak'ah, he should remain. Yeah. It says if he had only raised himself up a little, as long as he doesn't stand all the way up, because a person might be on their way up to stand up. You ever see him? Then the person leading the salat remembers and he goes back down. Everybody with me? He's rising up. He's about to miss the first tashahhud. He starts standing up, and as he's standing up, he realizes he misses. He goes right back down. Tayyib. You ready? He says, فَإِنِ اسْتَتَمَّ قَائِمًا. If a person stands up all the way, they stood all the way up now. They're standing up straight. He says, كَرِهَ رُجُوعُهُ, is disliked to go back down after that. Once you stood all the way up straight, it's disliked to go back down. Disliked. Disliked is not the same as haram. All right, they're different. So a person stands all the way up straight. Should he go back down? No, he shouldn't. It's disliked to go back down. But if the person did it, it don't mean once it's over, we got to pray over. Tayyib. Tayyib. The next situation, وَإِن لَمْ يَنْتَصِبْ. And this is the same one that he already mentions. If he didn't go all the way up, he mentioned it twice. If he didn't stand all the way up straight, what does he do? If he's on his way up but he didn't stand up straight, he goes straight back down. He has to go right back down. If he stood all the way straight up, it's disliked to go back down. طيب. The last one, وَإِنْ شَرَعَ فِي الْقِرَاءَةِ. If he starts to recite, he missed the first tashahhud, he stood all the way, he stood up straight for the third rak'ah, and then he started reciting al-Fatiha. He says, in this case, harum al-ruju'. That it's haram to go back down. Which case makes it haram to go back down? Once he started reciting. In all of the cases, all three of them, he still has to do sujud al-sahw at the end. Even though one of the cases is disliked, one of the cases is haram, one of the cases you have to go back down, obligatory to go back down, all the cases is going to require a person to do sujud al-sahw at the end. We clear? طيب. That was if a person leaves an obligation. Now remember, the tashahhud, the first tashahhud is just an example. So depending on what a person misses in the salat, a person has to be able to categorize what they missed. You have to be able to categorize what you missed at that point to be able to fix the prayer. Which is, if we pray in jama'ah, if we pray in congregation, whose job is that? The imam. Whoever is leading the salat. Because it might not be the imam of the masjid. Y'all might just be somewhere and there's a couple people praying. Somebody's the imam. Somebody is the imam. Whoever leads the salat is the imam at that point. And this is not a reason, brothers, this is not a reason not to lead the salat. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to lead the salat because I got to know all that stuff. No. Let me learn all of that stuff, right? So that when I lead the salat, I'm doing the right thing. You're the imam. You're going to have to. You're the imam of the house, right? We're going to be the imam of the house for everything else except the salat. Fadla.
Isn't it from the sunnah that the person that, quote unquote, is the most knowledgeable amongst the people at that particular time should lead the prayer anyway for this exact reason? Especially if you know, like, we all come in, we know each other, whatever. He got a juzz on the hand, I got two swords. That person's supposed to lead the salah anyway. I don't want to say it's obligatory, but like, no, you assume that they supposed to, right?
We're going to get to that, yes, no doubt. Who should be leading the prayer? The problem we have is we don't know who knows what, though. That's the real part. No, we don't know. No, we assume people know stuff. We don't really know who knows not, because we don't really, you know what I'm saying? It's an assumption. We don't really know who knows what. There'll be people, they be jumping up leading the salat, and they shouldn't even be leading the salat. They really shouldn't. There's people sitting right next to them that's, as they say, more ahlan, more qualified than them, and they'll just lead the salat. I was at a masjid one time, man, and I ain't gonna say the masjid, and a brother walked in the masjid, and it's brothers who are there all the time. I was in the area, I stopped by to pray Maghrib, and then I ended up talking to the brother, stay till Isha. So I don't know who's here every day. Y'all here I don't know who's here every day. So the time for Isha comes, a brother walks up, calls the adhan. They all looking at me. I'm like, what's the problem? They like, I don't know. I'm just passing through. Y'all don't know? No. He just called the adhan. He just walking here, called all these people, and he walked past all of these people in the masjid that are here all the time. These brothers are here at the masjid all the time. And just walk in somebody's masjid and call the adhan? No respect. Total disrespect, right? He didn't stop there, though. Then he called the iqamah. Right? Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Then he led the salat. The whole package deal. All that in one. That's what I said. Nobody said. They was looking at me. I don't know them. I don't know, I'm a visitor. I don't know who's here, who's not here. It was Isha. We prayed Maghrib. We were standing talking. Sheikh, I was done after that. I don't even remember the salat, man. Tell you the truth. Astaghfirullah. I got there like at Maghrib, and whoever led Maghrib, I think they were still there. Or maybe I missed I don't even remember, Sheikh. I know I just stayed to talk. Allah forgive us, man. I mean, طيب. The next section is doubt. When we have doubt in the salat. So the author, rahimahullah, says, وَمَنْ شَكَّ فِي عَدَدِ الرَّكَعَاتِ أخذ بالأقل. Whoever doubts how many rak'ahs they prayed, always take the lower number. So if I'm praying and I can't remember if this is number 2 or number 3, always go with the lower number. This is number 2. Just consider it number 2 and then build off of that. Pray as if that's the second one and do the whole rest of the salat as if it's that number. If I'm on the 4th rak'ah and I can't remember if this is 3 or 4, I do what? I just make it 3. Make that 3 and then I pray another rak'ah. Even though in reality, that might have been the 4. I might actually, if somebody was looking at me, they might say, you just prayed 5 rak'ah. If somebody was watching me pray. That happened to you before?
No, it just happened to me over the weekend. I was leading the family in Salah, and my son, he's like 19 months, he got on the couch. He was on the edge of the couch, he was like running. So I grabbed him,
Allahu Akbar.
and he threw me off.
Mm.
He threw me off. I grabbed him and threw me off. Because I was standing, that I was sitting to make
No doubt.
Saajid.
Mm.
He totally threw me off. So I didn't know whether I made 1 sujud or 2 sujuds or whatever. So I went with the lesser number.
Alhamdulillah.
And I did that. When I salamed out, my family was looking at me like, yo, what happened? You make
Yeah.
3 sujuds.
Yeah, Allahu Akbar.
So
You know, the good thing is you got the baby.
So I told him we got paid the rak'ah over. Because I made 3. I made 3 sujuds.
We get to that later, because I don't want to. I'm glad you got the baby, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He was on the edge.
He was on the edge of the. See, that's important. People think, it's some people that think you can't move in the salat. So they'll let somebody get hurt. We was talking about this at the class last week. They'll let somebody pass out. Literally, somebody pass out. A brother faint, pass out. And brothers keep praying like nothing happened. Like the deen, Islam doesn't require us to respond like that. What's going to happen? We let somebody pass out. We don't know how damaging and severe the issue is. We do know, if we don't know, if that person is not getting oxygen to the brain for a certain amount of time, it's going to be a super serious issue. We can stop and fix our salat, y'all. We can break the salat, get the brother, the sister some treatment, call an ambulance, and then pray. We can, you know what I'm saying, and pray. So we got to be mindful that Islam doesn't require us to be, that like we don't know what's going on around us. For them.
Check myself, quite a few videos, right?
Mhm.
And then Imam, he dies, right?
Right.
And then a person would step up
Mhm.
and finish the salah.
Right.
And then after the taslim, they would attend to the person that died. Seen like a few videos.
I'm not saying, all right, let's say it's a whole masjid full of people. Let's just say the imam dies during the salat. And somebody comes up and completes the salat. That's what happened on the video, right? Cool. Nobody else in the masjid is going to attend to the person? All of us got it, like, you know what I'm saying? Even if he did that for the sake of the jama'ah, nobody is going to attend to the brother or the sister that fell down. And I'm not saying you can't, I'm just saying, as a group of people, when somebody falls, let alone hit their head on something, nothing happened. It wouldn't be like we couldn't tend to the person and then come back and pray again. Allah alam. So that's the first one. I don't know how many rak'ahs I prayed. I always take the lower number. Does anybody know why?
Because doubt is not removed by certainty. Certainty is not removed by doubt.
What does that mean?
That means that if you build on what you're certain of.
I pray. I'm right now. I'm praying. I don't know if this is 3 or 4.
You know you did.
I'm gonna make it 3.
You know you did too.
I know I did 2. So if I'm sure, I know I did 2. That means I'm taking the lower number of 3. If I'm praying, I don't know if this is 3 or 4, and I'm standing in the salat. You know, you still be reciting. You trying to figure it out. You take the lower number if it's out of 3 and 4 because I know I did 2. I already know I did 2, so I'm good with 2. Is it 3 or 4? I'm gonna take the lower between 3 or 4, not just the lower number meaning I'm gonna go back to 1. I'm taking the lower number between which 2 numbers I'm confused about. If I don't know if this is rak'ah 1 or 2, I'm gonna just make it 1. If I don't know if this is rak'ah 3 or 2, I'm gonna make it 2. If I don't know if it's 3 or 4, I'm gonna make it 4.
3.
I'm sorry, 3. Jazakallah khair. Tayyib. He says, وَإِن شَكَ فِي تَرْكِ رُكْنٍ فَكَتَرْكِهِ. If he doubts, if a person doubts that they missed a pillar, I'm not sure. A person is praying, and as they're praying, right, they can't remember if they recited al-Fatiha. Let's say they're reciting a short surah, and they got some doubt now. Maybe it was a longer surah, whatever the case may be, and now they doubt. Did I even recite al-Fatiha? Seemed like I went to ruku kind of fast. Everybody with me? Not just al-Fatiha, any pillar. A person doubts that they did a pillar, it is as if they did not do it at all. It's as if they never did it. The asl, the origin, is the origin that, this is a question. Once we start praying, right, we say Allahu Akbar. Is the origin that I've already recited al-Fatiha or that I didn't recite it yet? I didn't do it yet. Is the origin that I already did ruku or I didn't do ruku? Is the origin I already did sajda or I didn't do it yet? So that's the asl. The asl is I never did anything. So if I doubt that I did it or not, you stay with what's the origin. Well, I never did it. You're not going to doubt and say, I think I did do it and keep going. No. You go with what's safer. You go with the origin. And the origin in this case is that I didn't recite al-Fatiha. That's the origin. Nobody says Allahu Akbar and then it's as you already recited al-Fatiha. You didn't do anything yet. You have to do stuff before it can be, right? So the origin is you didn't do al-Fatiha. The origin is you didn't recite a short surah. You didn't do ruku'. You didn't come up from ruku'. You didn't do sajda. You didn't come up. You didn't do anything. That's the origin. So if I doubt about if I did it or not, I go with the original state that I didn't do it, and then I build off of that. That makes sense? Tayyib. So therefore, he says, if a person doubts in the pillar, it is just like they never did it. Why? Because the origin is that you never did it, whatever the pillar was. So I might have said Allahu Akbar. I might have recited al-Fatiha. I might have did ruku', right? Came up from ruku'. I did a sajda. Did I do a second sajda? I only did one sajda. I came up from the first sajda. Did I do a second sajda? I never did the second sajda yet. That's the origin. The origin, it hasn't been done until you do it. So don't just assume, don't think, we can't doubt in the salat and then be like, I think I did do it and keep going.
So that's what I think the brother was getting at. He said, leave that which makes you doubt for that which does not make you doubt. The origin is no doubt.
The origin is that it wasn't there in the first place. There was no al-Fatiha when you said Allahu Akbar. You haven't said anything yet. Tayyib. Tayyib. He says next, rahimahullah, وَلَا يَسْجُدُ لِشَكِّهِ فِي تَرْكِ وَاجِبْ أَوْ زِيَادَةٍ. All right. He says, you do not make the sujud al-sahw if you doubt that you didn't do one of the obligations. If you have doubt about did I do, for example, let's just say, what page is this on? Oh, page 282. A person is praying the third rak'ah, right? And they have doubt about if they did the first tashahhud, right? The first tashahhud is at the end of the second rak'ah, right? Now they're in the third rak'ah, and they have doubt. Did I do the first tashahhud or didn't I? Right? He said, you don't make sujud al-sahw for this. At this point, I can't even confirm that I need to make sujud al-sahw. When do I make sujud al-sahw? If I leave off a pillar or an obligation, I have to. If I leave off a sunnah, I can or I don't have to. But a pillar and an obligation, if I leave one of those by accident, I have to make sujud al-sahw. Like if a person is doubting now, they have doubt if they left a pillar. They're doubting if they left an obligation. You with me? Or no?
I'm with you.
This is the point of it. Let me summarize it. I make sujud al-sahw because I know that I left a pillar or I know that I left an obligation. That's when I make sujud al-sahw. I do not make sujud al-sahw if I'm not sure if I left an obligation. I don't even know if I have a reason to make sujud al-sahw. My reasoning would be, I forgot to do a pillar, I forgot to do an obligation. I'm sure about that. In this case, I don't know it. I'm not sure if I left an obligation. So I don't have a reason to do sujud al-sahw. Because this is the question now, the same thing. Is the origin of our prayers, is the sujud al-sahw at the end, is this from the origin of our prayers? No. This comes when there's an issue. The origin of the salat is that not every time we pray we do sujud al-sahw. We do sujud al-sahw when there's a need. So now in this case, I'm not sure if there's a need to do sujud al-sahw. So what's the origin of the salat? Don't do sujud al-sahw. That makes sense? That means I had doubt in my reasoning. I'm making sujud al-sahw if number one, I left a pillar, or number two, I left an obligation. I know I left a pillar, I know I left an obligation, I do sujud al-sahw. In this example, I'm not sure if I left the obligation or not. Therefore, I'm not sure if I should be doing sujud al-sahw. And if I'm not sure if I should be doing sujud al-sahw, then I don't do it. That makes sense? Fadlan. Good question. He said, is it safer just to do the sujud al-sahw? Not in this case, because we're going to go with the origin of the salat. The origin of the prayer is not that every salat we do sujud al-sahw. That's not the origin. What's safer is to go with the origin of the prayer. If that makes sense. Tayyib. He says, same case for ziyada, if a person added something. If you're not sure you added something, you're not sure if the reasoning is there. It's the same thing. You don't do sujud al-sahw for something you're not sure that you missed.
Except in the case of oath. That's a question.
What's the question?
Except this situation only applies where you don't do the sujud al-sahw. It only applies in situations with a obligation.
Right, yes, yes.
So often you do it.
Yes,
If there's doubt.
yes, yes. Because remember he said if a person has doubt in a pillar, it's as if they didn't do the pillar. But what if a person has doubt in an obligation? It's not the same. You can't mix them. Everybody clear? Tayyib. I guess I'll throw this in there. Some of the scholars don't differentiate between those two. But we're going with the call of the author. Tayyib. He says next, وَلَا سُجُودَ عَلَى مَأْمُومٍ إِلَّا تَبَعًا لِإِمَامِهِ. There is no sujud al-sahw for the people following the imam. If you're a follower, if you're not leading the salat and you're following the imam, there is no sujud al-sahw for you, except if the imam has to do sujud al-sahw. The imam carries the weight of the whole jama'ah. Everybody clear? If you're praying behind the imam, you're not leading the salat. If you're not leading the salat, you don't make sujud al-sahw unless the imam makes sujud al-sahw. He carries the weight of the jama'ah, everybody behind him. Clear? But be more specific now. Can somebody repeat what I just said?
So if you're the imam and you're leading the salat, then those that are following you, they don't make their own individual
sujud al-sahw. Right.
But the imam, if he makes the sujud al-sahw,
Right.
then the congregation.
Right. Good. I like that. Everybody following the imam, everybody behind the imam doesn't make their own individual sujud al-sahw every prayer. We all following the imam. Somebody's leading the salat. Our sujud al-sahw is connected to the imam. You ready? As long as you started and prayed the whole prayer with the imam. Which means this doesn't apply to the people who, what? They missed the rak'ah. They have to make something up. If you have to make something up, then you have to deal with your own sujud al-sahw. If you prayed the whole prayer with the imam, Your sujud al-sahw is connected to the imam's sujud al-sahw. If you came late, you missed a rak'ah, or you missed 2 rak'ahs, right? Yes, you following the imam, but you have your own sujud al-sahw that you may have to tend to. Again, followers, fadl.
So you said, say I came late. He made a mistake in the first 2 rak'ahs. I came second 2 rak'ahs. Then he did the sujood al-sahw at the end. I still have to make the sujood al-sahw after I do my other 2.
Say, oh, I'm with you, Sheikh. He said, say for example, he came late and he missed 2 rak'ah. So that means he prayed with the jama'ah 2 more rak'ah. He says the imam made a mistake, but his mistake was in one of the 2 rak'ahs that he actually missed. So he wasn't there for the mistake, right? Cool. At the end of the salat, he's still going to do the sujood al-sahw with the imam because he's in the salat with the imam. It's part of the congregation. When he stands up to do his 2 that he missed, he might make another mistake. He might make his own mistake now. That's not connected to the imam. He has to fix that too. Everybody clear? So even though I might not make the mistake, or even though I might miss the mistake, I'm going to follow the imam in his sujood al-sahw because I'm following, that's part of the congregational prayer. Now when I stand up to finish my prayer, I could possibly make another mistake that I need sujood al-sahw for. Everybody clear? Fadl.
But if you don't, you have to still make it at the end of your turn.
If you don't what?
If you don't make a mistake in your 2 rak'ahs.
Oh, good, okay. If he said, what if you don't make a mistake in your 2 rak'ah? Then you don't have to make another sujood al-sahw. You already made it with the imam. Only time I'm making up is when I come late, I missed a rak'ah or I missed something I have to stand up. Once I have to stand up like that, I'm on my own as far as fixing my prayer when it comes to sujood al-sahw. If I'm praying behind the imam the whole prayer, I don't miss anything, I don't have to make my sujood al-sahw. The imam carries that. Clear? If I miss a rak'ah or 2 or 3, either way I'm following the imam all the way to the end. And then when I stand up to complete my prayer, I might make another mistake. And those mistakes that I make on my own, I still may have to do sujood al-sahw based on the mistake I make. Further.
Real quick. If you come in late, as brother is saying, when the imam makes the sujood, it's before he says name, so the whole congregation is going with him.
Yes.
And then you stand up. I don't know if that.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I don't know, I guess it seems like he mentioned this at the bottom of 284. You look at the translation, in the last paragraph.
It says,
284.
we on 282. Oh, let me see.
No, we went to,
We on 283.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, 284, my bad.
Look at the bottom, he says the ma'moom makes the sujood even if he has not made a mistake in the prayer.
Where you reading from?
Look at the very last paragraph at the bottom of 284.
You reading the bold print? Is it in bold?
No, it's underneath the bold.
Oh, you reading the shut?
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
mentioned. Isn't that the same thing?
Is what the same?
Where he
Makes the
says,
sujood even if he
and
has
he
not
said
made a
the-
mistake.
the-
Yes, that's exactly what he's talking about. Yes, exactly. Even though I wasn't there for the mistake, I'm making that sujood al-sahw with the imam out of following the obligation of following the imam in the salat, not necessarily because I was there for the mistake. And even if I didn't make the mistake, the people behind the imam didn't make the mistake either. The imam made the mistake. They still have to follow him in fixing it though, out of following the imam in the salat. Tayyib. Now this is a qaida in this chapter. This is a rule which comes next. I think this is, let me make sure, because I want, it says here, وَسُجُودُ السَّهْوِ لِمَا يُبْطِلُهَا عَمْدُهُ wajib. It says, okay, he can do so. If he leaves the sujood al-sahw, preferred. Those who admit an act more than once only. All right, it says, if he forgets to make there's no sujood al-sahw, if he leaves the sujood al-sahw, I don't know, hold on. Maybe y'all can find it. Tayyib. The rule is, sujood al-sahw, lima yubtiluha amduhu wajib. Meaning, whatever would invalidate the salat if a person left it off intentionally, If a person leaves what intentionally, what breaks the salat? If a person leaves a pillar intentionally, that breaks the salat, right? So that means when it comes to making mistakes in pillars, the sujud al-sahw is obligatory. If a person leaves off an obligation intentionally, does that break the salat? Yes. That means if a person makes a mistake in an obligation, sujud al-sahw is obligatory. Anything that will break the salat if you did it intentionally, that means the sujud al-sahw at the end is obligatory for that thing. What if a person intentionally left off something from the sunnah, recommended? Does that break the salat? It doesn't break the salat. Therefore, if a person left something from the sunnah, something recommended, sujud al-sahw in that case is not obligatory. Sujud al-sahw is obligatory for the things, if you intentionally leave it, it breaks the prayer. Any of the pillars, you intentionally leave a pillar, it breaks the prayer. That means sujud al-sahw connected to pillars is obligatory. A person or leaving intentionally, not doing one of the obligations, breaks the salat. That means sujud al-sahw connected to the obligations, sujud al-sahw, those two at the end are obligatory to fix the prayer. Everybody clear? That's what that rule means. I'm trying to find it in that translation. It says there is no, well, that's sujud al-ma'mum. What's sujud al-sahw? It says, oh, here it is. It says sujud al-sahw is mandatory for any act that nullifies the prayer when it is done willfully. That's what that rule is. It's 284 at the bottom, and it starts on the second line of the bold print. Sujud al-sahw is mandatory for any act that nullifies the prayer if a person were to do it intentionally. So if a person intentionally doesn't do a pillar, that nullifies the salat. So if I make a mistake in a pillar, sujud al-sahw is obligatory. Everybody clear? A person intentionally doesn't do an obligation, that nullifies the prayer, right? So if I have a mistake connected to an obligation, that means that sujud at the end is obligatory. طيب. The last section, it says, وَتُبْتِلُ بِتَرْكِ سُجُودِ أَفْضَلِيَّتُهُ قَبْلَ السَّلَامِ فَقَط. This is worded kind of funny. Maybe, hopefully, inshallah, I can explain it. Number one, sujud al-sahw can be done. You with me? Listen, sujud al-sahw can be done before the taslim or after the taslim. Okay? According to the method of Imam Ahmed, now, before I move there, sujud al-sahw can be done before we salam out, and it can be done after we salam out. Now it's a case, now the next issue is, which one is better? What's preferable, to do it before the taslim or after the taslim? Well, you can do both. We already got that. What's better though? Right? That's what I just want to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about. Right? According to the method of Imam Ahmed, sujud al-sahw is always better to be done before the taslim, except in one case. One case, they say it's better to do it after we salam out. That's the case when a person salams, they're in the salat and they salam out too early. So they pray in dhuhr, after the second rak'ah, they salam out. They say it's better in that case, when you do the sujud al-sahw at the end, to do it after. It's better. If he did it before, but it's better. Better means, doesn't mean it invalidates anything. It's better. Everybody with me? No. Tayyib. Sujud al-sahw is done at the end of the salat. When it could be done before we salam out, or it could be done after we salam out. We good on that. Tayyib. Which one is better? According to the Hanabila, it's better to do it before you salam out. You got a question there?
I do.
Fadl.
My question is that because you salammed out early,
Mm-hmm.
your salat is done, right?
Why would you don't speak or talk outside of the
Allah Akbar. Tayyib, yalla. Alhamdulillah. Allah Akbar.
As long as you don't speak or, but if you stand up and start
Amen. All the rules got to apply.
right, so
He said if you salammed out too early, isn't just salat over? It depends on what happens after we salam out.
right, in this particular case you're talking about,
Yeah, you
you
lost
said, did you salam out? He
I salammed out early.
Salammed out early.
Yes.
But what did you leave off?
2 rak'ah.
You left off 2 rak'ahs.
Yes.
So you stand up. Even though you salammed out, you stand up because you salammed out by mistake.
I salammed out by mistake.
So you stand up, once you remember and you didn't do anything else, you stand up and you make your 2 rak'ahs.
Yes.
And then you do the sujud sahw.
When?
Before you salam.
La.
Oh, this is the one.
Yes.
That's the case.
Yes, you got it now. Allah Akbar. The situation is, they say that it's always better to do the sujud al-sahw before we salam out. That means we're going to pray 4 rak'ah for Isha. At the end of Isha, we're going to do the tashahhud. And then I'm finished the tashahhud. I made the dua. The last thing to do for real is only left is to say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, we be done. But I have to fix my Isha because I made a mistake. So now before I salam out, I'm going to do what? Allahu Akbar, and go back down. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Right? They say, but if I salammed out the salat too early, after Maghrib is 3 rak'ah. After 2 rak'ah, for Maghrib, I salammed out. I still have to fix it. Once I fix everything, I pray my 3rd rak'ah. Once I fix the salat, the fact that I salammed out too early, now they say you should do the sujud al-sahw after the taslim. Tayyib? Which means, y'all, this is important. It's important not to jump up right after the salat. It's important to pay attention to the imam, sisters, especially when you can't see the imam. The imam might have to fix the salat. He might have to do a sujud al-sahw after the taslim. You jump up and run off and grab your phone because you're waiting for a phone call, right? Brothers too. I didn't say that, Sheikh. All I'm saying is it's important to pay attention. It's important to pay attention even at the end of the prayer because the imam may have to do the sujud al-sahw after the taslim. And we following the imam. Huh? Fadal. What? Fadal. Oh yeah, call it there, my bad. Bismillah. So in this case, the author is saying, it says in the book, if he leaves off the sujud al-sahw that is preferred to be performed before the taslim, his prayer is not valid. Meaning, a person made a mistake, and in this case, what's meant is, it's better to do the sujud al-sahw before the taslim, right? It's always better to do it, except in that one case. So in this case, when we say it's better to do it before we salam out, that means I can still do the taslim when? After I salam out. But it would be better to do it before. But a person has the intention not to do it after they salam out. A person has the intention not to do the sujud al-sahw after they salam out. So here's the situation. A person prayed, and in this example, for example, I missed a pillar. If I miss a pillar, I went back, I fixed it, and then at the end of the salah, I have to do sujud al-sahw, right? Obligatory, right? Obligatory. So now, when should I do my sujud al-sahw at the end? Before I salam out. The person says, I'm not doing the sujud al-sahw for this, for whatever reason, at all. Not before the taslim or after the taslim. No doubt, it's a pillar. And for the reason, if they do that intentionally, it's going to invalidate the prayer.
Because they missed something intentionally.
They missed something that was obligatory intentionally. Everybody clear?
So that means everybody prayed.
Yes. If the imam did it, yes. Yes. If the imam, if you're leading somebody in the salat, yes, then everybody's prayer, the whole prayer.
So in that case, and I'm just saying, in that case, let's say I get caught in that situation, right? And I'm just saying, this is what I think I should do based on what you just said. Okay, so let's just say for whatever reason he holds a position that I'm not doing it, that I don't have to do that, this and the other, right? So I'm not even gonna argue with him. I'm gonna go off to the side and I'm gonna pray whatever salat we just finished praying.
You mean if the imam doesn't?
He refuses to, like you said,
Oh.
he might hold a position that no, right? So I'm saying it would be better for me to just not argue with him. You see what I'm saying?
Assuming somebody, let's just say the imam don't know what he's doing.
No, 'cause no, you're saying he refused. So
No, I'm saying he intentionally didn't do it.
right.
Okay,
And
yeah.
you're saying if he refused, the prayer is invalid.
Mhm.
So if the prayer is invalid, and I know from what I learned that my prayer is invalid.
Yes.
Then I gotta go with what I know to be on the safe side.
Right.
And just to keep the fitna down, I'm not gonna go back and forth. You're not gonna fix it.
Sahih.
I'll just
You can just go and pray and fix your salat. We don't got to argue. We don't got to get loud and belligerent. We don't got to pull our phones out and sit them on the table and get all the weight out of our pockets like we about to rumble. We ain't got to do all that. You know what I'm saying? You start emptying your pockets out, you about to do something. We Muslim, what you doing? Well, not with you, Sheikh. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do, cool, I'm going to just go over here and you pray your salat over. It's a done deal. Fuck 'em.
Shit, because I think that we covered that earlier, maybe not last week, but the week before, when we, or did we first start talking about this then? Because I think we were talking about when the imam makes a mistake and neglects to make
Sujud al-sahw.
And the follower, while the imam is talking, they can go ahead and fix their salat. I remember vaguely we having that conversation where a follower can fix his salat in spite of what the imam.
No. That was the person, I think you talking about the example, the person separated himself from the prayer. That was the person that separated himself.
We was speaking on when you say it's supposed to be two trustworthy people.
Yes, two trustworthy
And
people.
they know that he made the mistake.
Yes.
They sat there.
Yes.
And then continue, even though he didn't make the
Sujud al-sahw.
because he made the mistake.
Right. Oh, you saying what to do in that case?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, I think
You
we
know
talked
he made
about
a mistake.
that.
The one you talking about is the person who separated himself from the jama'ah. That was one issue. A person, I remember vaguely, a person separated himself from the prayer.
This was the
'Cause y'all talking about two separate
matter that we
things.
were talking about was the imam not remembering or doubting that he made a mistake.
Okay, the imam doubts it. He don't think he made a mistake.
He don't think he made a mistake. but
He
the
thinks he's
people-
right.
Right, he think he's right. But
Yes.
the people believe he made a mistake.
Okay, and then what happens?
And then, so, because the people knew that he made a mistake, they fixed their salah.
You got to find it for me because I don't remember
No,
that.
it was a discussion we were having. I was just looking.
If the people think the imam, if the people, oh, that's the mushkila. If the people, if the people think the imam made a mistake, if the imam doesn't have to listen to the people behind him. Number one. So the imam thinks he did the right thing. There's people behind him saying he did the wrong thing. Right? The imam is going to complete the salah as is, as he thinks is correct, all the way to the end. After he finishes, more than likely, if they really think he's wrong, there's going to be a conversation. About what? About the salah. Either they're going to correct him or he's going to correct them. Right? Maybe he turns around and he sees brothers and he really thought he was right at the time. He turns around and the people that's trustworthy, they be like, no, you really did that. He looking like, for real? Yeah. All right, we stand up and we fix it. He could listen to them.
Right,
As long as it fits all the conditions that we spoke about. Yeah.
See, that's my fault.
Tell you, this is the last line. The last one was a person intentionally, they're supposed to do sujood al-sahw, but they intend not to do it even after the taslim. They say, they're not doing it. That's going to invalidate the prayer. The next one is, وَإِن نَسِيَهُ وَسَلَّمْ سَجَدَ إِن قَرُبَ زَمَنُهُ. A person, this is all for a person doing the best, don't get me wrong, y'all. The best time to make sujood al-sahw is when? Before we salam out. A person, you ready for this one? He's supposed to do sujood al-sahw, she's supposed to do sujood al-sahw, and then she forgets to do the sujood al-sahw before the taslim. You with me? They made a mistake, they trying to fix it, they know they have to fix it, it come time to salam out, and they forget to do it where it's the best place to do it, which is before they salam out, right? Which means they miss the preferred place to do it. He says if they do that and they end up salamming out, salam alaikum rahmatullah, salam alaikum rahmatullah, that means they missed the better spot. He says what do? Sajada. They still make the sajda after the taslim, as long as the time didn't go by. Not too much time went by. Everybody clear? Further.
What did they say about the one who forgets completely?
They can completely what?
You know you made a mistake in the salah, but you finish the salah, you salam out, you get up, start doing whatever you're doing, and you're like, oh, I didn't make sujood al-sahw before I didn't make it at all.
Mm-hmm. Say that again?
You forget to make sujood al-sahw completely, even though you had the intention on making it, but you forgot to do it.
It's just like what we're talking about here, except the time lapse, you got up and you went and moved. Or did something.
If they didn't intentionally, we know if I have to make sujood al-sahw and I intend not to do it intentionally, that's going to validate the prayer. Cool. Now I got to make sujood al-sahw, and it's better to make it before the taslim. You ready? Yeah, I think I got it right. It's better to make it before the taslim, but I forgot. I salam out. I still make it after the taslim, right? As long as, after the taslim, I'll forget. If I'm not mistaken, the issue is they say, you ready? They say if he forgot, it's not going to affect the prayer. Why?
Wasn't intentional.
And I'm just giving you their reasoning. The prayer is over. He already slammed out. The prayer is actually over. Follow.
Do they say anything about the person who is following the imam? The imam has to fix it. The imam fixes it, but before the imam fixes it, somebody got up and slid off already.
Say it again. The imam has to fix the salat, right? And he's going to fix it after the salat, or what? and the imam didn't fix it, or the person got up and left?
Somebody out of the congregation got up and left.
Oh, how does it affect the person who got up and left their prayer? If I'm not mistaken, y'all, but I gotta look at that issue. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the issue where it's outside of the prayer already. It's outside of the prayer already, if I'm not mistaken. But I gotta relook at that because it was kind of wordy. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of. I think that's what it was saying, but I gotta look at that again. طيب. The last issue. It says, whoever makes numerous mistakes throughout the salat, they left a pillar, then they fixed it. Later on, they left obligation, right? They made numerous mistakes. They only have to do sujud al-sahw one time, which is 2 sajdas. 2 sajdas at the end equals 1 sujud al-sahw. So we say sujud al-sahw, but it's really 2 sajdas. So say if we use it the way a person might think of it, I made 3 mistakes. That means I gotta do 2, 2, 2. 6 sajdas at the end? No. If I make 3 mistakes, I'm only doing 2 sujud al-sahws for all of those mistakes I made. Everybody clear? That's why it says at the end, those who omit an act more than once only need to prostrate twice. Sujud al-sahw contains 2 sajdas at the end. A person does it tashahhud all the way at the end, and before they salam out, they're going to say, the imam's going to say, or a person praying alone, they're going to say, Allahu Akbar. And they're going to go back in the sajda and say the same thing that we say in sajda. Same thing we normally say in sajda, we're going to say in sajda for sujood al-sahw. We're going to sit up from the sajda, Allahu Akbar. And we're going to make the same dua between the 2 sajdas. Rabbi ighfirli, right? Go back down, sajda again. Same thing. Subhana Rabbil A'la, right? Come back up, Allahu Akbar. And then what? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And I'm going to just throw this out there because I came across this today. Some say that after you do the sujood al-sahw, at the end, you come back up and do another tashahhud.
I was going to ask that question.
Some say you come back and do another tashahhud. But they argue that in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, it doesn't mention that he did that. So they say you don't have to do that. Therefore, he didn't mention it here, but you do the two sajdas to carry for as many mistakes as you made, and then at the end you come back up and you salam out. Fadl. Salam.
How about any mistake in the salah? I was a little late.
Which?
Like, how about in the silent salah, in your recitation, you mess up? Make sure yourself for that? Or is it just the movement?
It depends. It has to be categorized. Any mistake in the salat has to be categorized. What did I make a mistake in? Was it a pillar? Was it an obligation? Or was it a sunnah, something recommended? That's on the person praying to know. A person praying has to know the mistake that they made and what category that it fits in, and then they can figure out how to fix it. That's all based on the mistake. The question is super general, you know what I'm saying? But it's based on the mistake. And that's for the person praying to understand, okay, I did this, that's an obligation. All right, so if it's an obligation, I don't have to go back and do it, but I still got to make the 2 sajdas at the end. You know what I'm saying? Fadl.
No.
You good? That's a pillar.
I'm saying, all he said was he make a mistake in recitation. He didn't say what recitation.
In a quiet salah or a loud salah?
It don't matter. It could be loud salat, quiet salat. Every mistake has to be categorized.
He just said recitation. He didn't say what.
That's what I'm saying. That's not enough detail. It could be recitation in the second surah. What's the hukum on the second surah after al-Fatiha? Sunnah. So if I make a mistake in the sunnah, do I have to do sujood al-sahw at the end? No. You see what I'm saying? Fatiha better be right, yo. Since we talking about it, al-Fatiha is supposed to be right. People leading the salat, wherever you are, wherever you may be. Recitation of al-Fatiha is a pillar. We should ask ourselves I don't know about the sister side, the brother side, you should ask how many people have you actually sat in a class, a Quran class, to get your al-Fatiha checked? If you haven't, you should. The men are the people who are designated to lead the prayers for the Jama'ah. Unless it's all women, The men are going to lead the salat. In your house, you with the brothers, wherever you're at, we should be taking it serious to check and make sure we're pronouncing the al-Fatiha correctly. And I always tell the story, the brother flagged me and said he was cool. When we was about to recite al-Fatiha, we was doing a class on al-Fatiha. So I'm sitting on the wall on the floor, and the brother walked by, and he said, what y'all about to do? I said, we're about to do a class on al-Fatiha, to recite al-Fatiha. Brother said, man. And walked off. He said, I'm cool on that joint. And walked off. And maybe he was cool. MashaAllah. Probably wasn't. MashaAllah. Allah Alam. Point being, that's a pillar. And as he said in the other part, and earlier in the book, how many shaddas in al-Fatiha? Anybody remember? Anybody remember? Yes.
11.
Yes, 11. He said if you miss one shadda, al-Fatiha is not correct. Then somebody's going to sit here and say, well, what's a shadda? Well, that's the problem. Seriously, that's the problem. The problem is we should know that. We should know that because we're doing this every day. Now, the next issue is, well, what if we all messed up, basically? What if all of our levels are the same? That's not an issue. If everybody's level is the same, that's not an issue. But when we get to the chapter of imama, who should be leading the salat, it's going to designate who should be leading and why, and who shouldn't be leading. Who should be leading, why they should be, and who shouldn't be leading and why they shouldn't be leading. Point being is that the men, we should take our recitation of al-Fatiha serious. It's no shame. It should be no shame, as we say, going back to scratch, going back to zero, and starting from without Fatiha. It shouldn't be no shame.
But Imam,
Yes.
it's 14 or 11. No?
Is it?
Just like flat.
What you mean?
You know, because the Bismillah, if the Bismillah is considered one of the ayahs of al-Fatiha, then you have 3 more. So,
And then it's 3 in it. It's different.
Hold up. Let me rephrase the question. According to the book, how many is it?
according to the
Yeah, because our only question is according to the text.
okay,
I like to do that just so if we master this, wherever else we go, meaning another book, it'll be easy. You know what I'm saying? Inshallah. Either way, the fact that they mentioned that if you miss a shadda, the al-Fatiha is not valid, that's super important. We praying every day. Whether we lead in the salat, we're praying every day. At some point, you're going to lead a prayer, even if you're praying by yourself. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Khayrukum man ta'allama al-Qur'an wa 'allamahu." The best of you are those who learn the Qur'an and teach it. Learn it first. Learn it. We're going to teach all this stuff, all these books, all these classes, but the Qur'an. We know all these hadith. They come time to lead the salat, all the brothers step back. Everybody start looking down and, yo, you got it. We don't really know who knows what for real, for real. As long as I don't do it. And then somebody get up there and mess up, and then we mad. You heard the brother reciting? But yours is no better, for real, for real. And if it is better, why didn't you lead? Why was you stepping back and shy and you don't want to lead? This is the salat. The sisters ain't going to come do it. I believe, Allahu Alam. If the sisters could, they come do it. Allahu Alam. If the sisters could come lead us in prayer, they probably come do it. Allahu Musta'an. We supposed to be the people, the imams, the imam in the household, but it comes time to lead the prayer, though. Jones is choppy, yo. May Allah forgive us.
I remember I was at a
Stuck for the
masjid one
long,
time,
man.
and I ain't gonna say where. Well, it wasn't in Philly, so we wanted to be,
Alhamdulillah.
but
Actually, if you land,
Yeah, masjid food.
Masjid Fulani. But I don't know if he was the imam or not, but I couldn't even tell it was the al-Fatiha. I couldn't even tell.
Yeah, Allah Musta'an, man. Allah Musta'an.
I couldn't even tell.
A lot of times, if you don't know, y'all, and it's going to come in the section about how to make up the salat when you come late, what to do. That's a whole nother issue when you come late, what to do. People who know better as far as reciting is concerned, never mind, that might throw people khushu off. Never mind, forget that. Point being is we need to take reciting serious. That don't mean you got to be the best. It doesn't mean you trying to compete with somebody else to have the best, but for the perfection of our own prayer, we should take reciting al-Fatiha seriously. Most people, most people, I'm not gonna say for the sisters, because the sisters be having classes like that, the joint be packed. We gotta move the wall, lock the back door, close the door off, there'll be so many sisters coming. For classes like that, the wording, how to pronounce the tashahhud and stuff like, it'll be filled up with sisters. We do the same thing for the brothers, it might be like 12 brothers. You know what the brothers say? I'm only repeating what people say. Man, the brothers, all the brothers already know everything. I'm just saying that's the attitude. Until they get put on the spot. Come time to lead, you know what we do. We start backing up, we start straggling up to the line, don't pick me. And it ain't like I make wudu. Did I break my wudu? We start doing all that when for real, not that you're trying to put yourself in front, but who's qualified to do it? It should be more than enough people qualified to do it. It should be like this. No, you got it, man. Go ahead. Have one of him. Hey, have him do it. It shouldn't be like, man, we got to delay the salat 20 minutes till somebody come. Like, come on. Then somebody lead, and it's not. And you, for real, one of the brothers listening, you might be better. But go back to what Abdurrahman said. For real, we don't know who knows what in the room, because we don't sit in classes like this and make mistakes in front of each other. Because we're scared to make a mistake in front of each other. If I make a mistake, they're going to know what I really don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Just from experience, the Quranic class is the least attended class.
No doubt. Sheikh said from experience. He said from experience, the Quran class, learning how to recite, is the least attended class.
In my experience over the years.
Mine's too. I used to go to a Quran class at Masjid Fulan. It was, you know how many people be there for Fajr? On a daily, it might be, for real, it might be 50 to 100 people there for Fajr. On a regular Quran class at the Fajr, 2 people up there. 2. If it came time to lead the Salat, and I thought, I'm serious now, I'm serious. I thought, since nobody was coming to the class, I thought everybody already knew it. So I asked the teacher one time, because I was like, this is the first time I've ever heard of no tajweed. I'm like, man, to me it was like, man, subhanAllah. It's going crazy. I'm like, everybody know this already? Because nobody's here, everybody know this. He said, people don't be knowing. I'm like, for real? All these people here, and people don't know this? And then once you learn it, you start to see, okay, people don't know. And the people you thought they knew, they really don't know. And it's not about that, but it's about the reality. At some point, everybody's going to pray by themselves. Don't we think it's important to at least, it's a pillar, to at least make sure my own salat is correct before Allah? What excuse am I going to have Yom Qiyamah if I didn't fix my al-Fatiha? With plenty of options to do it, especially in a city like this. And we don't think it's no big deal. Then it come time to lead, and we want to lead people. Some of us want to lead. Haven't been checked, need to be checked, shouldn't be leading. You know what I'm saying? And we got an attitude on top of that. Allah forgive us and increase us in knowledge, and forgive us for our shortcomings and our misunderstandings, and give us serious about learning. What'd you say, Sheikh?
I said, like you said, a lot of times what you find out is that people that don't mind leading the slot, rush up to lead the slot, because there's a misconception between tajweed and flowery speech.
And just sounding good.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So some people think that because they sound good, that their recitation is good.
Sahih, Sheikh. No, you're right, Sheikh, but you're absolutely right. Some people think because they sound good, they have a nice voice, that their recitation is good.
Yeah. Until you get trained, then you say, man.
Yeah, some people, stuck for the law, man. Stuck for the law, man. Stuck for the law. We be talking all that. We be talking a lot of crazy stuff we be saying. We be saying a lot of crazy stuff about people. We say a lot of crazy stuff about other Muslims, y'all. When it comes to a basic, bare minimum duty of a Muslim, we haven't perfected it. Like, by far, haven't perfected it, by far. And we have the ability. No, it ain't like we can't do it. It's not like we're not Arabs, we can do it. We just don't really think it's a serious thing. We don't take it serious like that.
Plus, it's a win-win.
It's a win regardless of the Prophet ﷺ. The best people are those who learn the Quran and teach it. The one who struggles to learn the Quran, they getting the reward. They with the angels. There's so many rewards just for trying to learn it. Even if I don't come out the best reciter, I don't memorize the most, The fact that I'm learning, based on the hadith of the Prophet, it's a win-win. We rather talk about people and talk about what people not doing, what they need to be doing, what the sisters ain't doing, what the brothers need to be doing. And then when it comes time to pray, it's shabby. And the first thing that the Prophet said we're going to be asked about from our deeds on Yom Kippur is our salat. That's the first thing we're going to be asked about, is the salat. From the salat is al-Fatiha. And all of it is possible for all of us. There is no person with an exception that, man, I just can't do it. Now, you can do it if that's what you want to do. It's possible for all of us. It's not difficult. It's not even tajweed. It's not difficult. We just don't know it. I don't know everything. I didn't know what tajweed was. The brother sat down and asked me if I wanted to learn tajweed. He said, you want to go over some Quran? I guess, yeah. We going to Masha, he busts a notebook out and said, we're going to do some tajweed. I'm like, what's that? He says, I'll never forget, he says, Joe, what do you, Joe, we do? Tajweed done. I said, you tripping. I don't know what he's talking about. And he started telling me all this stuff, Tahsin al-Sawt and all of this stuff. I don't know what he's talking about. I have no idea what he's talking about. I'm dead serious. And he gave me the first rule, Qutbi Jadin. And he said, every time you see these letters with a sukoon on it, there's an echo sound. Sometimes he explained it to me. I ran home, told my wife, you ain't gonna believe this. Look at this. It's no excuse for us except that we don't really take it serious like that. May Allah forgive us and make us better. Wa sallallahu alaihi wa sallam, Muhammad, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Next week the class is after Isha because the time's supposed to go up Sunday. So we start at 6:45. Inshallah after Isha. Wa sallallahu alaihi wa sallam, Muhammad.